Hi, everybody, and welcome to Spa Babies, presented by Spendthrift. I'm Dan Illman, along with Nicole Russo. Our Spa Baby race for Thursday, August the 25th, race number 2. We kick off the 50-cent pick 4 with a maiden special weight for fillies going 5.5 furlongs on the Mellon Turf Course. Let's take a look at this field, and it is one of the more wide-open Spa Baby races, in my opinion, that we've had to handicap all meet long. Spendthrift represented by the 7 Rocket City. She is by Super Stallion Into Mischief, and the number 13 Georgie Spirit on the also eligible list. That one is by Spendthrift Stallion More Spirit. 10 in the body of the race. 11 through 15 also eligible. 16 La Vita Sofia, main track only. And if this race stays completely intact and all the AEs are out, it's all first-time starters.
Yeah, and so that makes pedigree a really big factor in handicapping this race. And I saw a lot of really fascinating pedigrees when I was pulling this field apart a little bit. It's a big field, it's a wide open field. I think it's a good place to take a swing and find some value.
Let's begin with the inside runner, the number 1, Elysian Field. She is 20-1 on the morning line. And Elysian Field, a $50,000 yearling, sold up for $70,000 in June after breezing a quarter mile in 21-3. She's by Hard Spun. The dam's a half-sister to a multiple stakes place router, but the second dam was very precocious, a debut winner at 2 and also a stakes-winning sprinter on synthetic that year. Some interesting workouts, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's quick from the stalls.
Yeah, she'll have to be breaking from the inside with a short run into the turn in this big field. Bred to be a nice horse and bred to be a nice turf horse, though. The Danzig line over the Smart Strike line. Bred to go a little bit longer. I'll take a wait and see approach with this filly, I think.
Bruce Brown trains. The 2 is a Sora, and this is a filly by Super Saver, and what a strong pedigree on the bottom. The dam, a grade 1 stakes winning miler on dirt, but this is the family of quality turf horses: Forbidden Apple, Wild Event, Paradise Creek. But when you think of those horses, you think longer than 5.5, and Graham Motion is known to be the kind of trainer that will take his time with a promising young horse.
Yeah, and when you think of those horses in this family, Forbidden Apple, Paradise Creek, a lot of them developed with some age and some experience as well. This is another filly who I think I'm going to take a wait and see approach on. But I mean, gosh, is she bred to be a nice horse down the line?
And Al Shakab Racing homebred Jose Ortiz takes the mount. The 3 is Hat Check Girl. This is a filly by the hot first crop stallion Sharpez Tekka, who has had a winner or 2 on the turf. A $30,000 weanling, sold up for $80,000 as a yearling. There is some speed and turf on the bottom of this pedigree. The dam a half to a stakes winner Moiety, who I believe won one of the stakes races sprinting at Mahoning Valley. Long series of works for her debut.
Yeah, some nice foundation for the debut, including some local works on the turf. Sharp as Tekka, as you mentioned, just on fire with his first crop, leads the freshman class by individual winners, is third on a very tight earnings list to this point. He does have turf winners, as you mentioned, including Sharp as Attack, a stakes winning turf sprinter at Monmouth.
The 4 is Lexi's Spirit. Mark Henning trains. Javier Castellano takes the mount, a $65,000 yearling by Cantharos, who's one of the best sires of turf sprinters out there. He also wins a lot with juvenile debut runners. 16% winners, plenty of class and turf on the bottom. Diversey Harbor, Kirtana, Snowtop Mountain. So we've got a great mixture of speed and precocity over class and turf ability.
Yeah, and a thing that stood out to me is that Kirtana and Snowtop Mountain have both thrown good 2-year-olds in their broodmare careers. So if educating follows in the mold of her half sisters, I think that's very interesting. And Cantharos adds some speed into a female family that's more long-winded. And that recent bullet work on August 11th for Lexi Spirit on the tab here certainly indicates that she's got some speed.
The number 5 is Can't Keep Me Down for Arad Ortiz and Todd Pletcher. This is a filly by the Factor, 14% winners from First Turf Runners. The dam won on dirt and turf, but at a little bit of a longer distance. If you look back in this pedigree, she's bred by Shadwell. There's a lot of European turf horses, and this one has shown a bullet workout. She wouldn't be a surprise at all, but I have a feeling just simply because of the connections, she's going to take a lot of money.
Absolutely. I think as wide open as this race is, I think this is one where you're really going to have to watch the board, as we always say on race day. The factor, a very versatile sire. This one, again, with that work tab, with that bullet work, as always, going to advise you to take into account the clocker reports produced by our colleague Mike Welsh and his team up at Saratoga. It'll give you a lot of insight into not just how fast these horses are working and the numbers on the page, but how they're accomplishing it.
Number 6 is Lady Caraggio, Junior Alvarado for Bill Mott. This filly sold for $105,000 overseas as a yearling. And as you can see, she is speed on speed by Caravaggio, a full sister to Orazio, who won her debut overseas. There's a lot of speed in this family. Bill Mott has had success with debut runners, and I have a feeling this filly is going to be quick.
I think so as well. And Caravaggio, a son of Scat Daddy, an outstanding turf sprinter in his own right, multiple times a winner at the renowned Royal Ascot meeting. And his 2-year-olds have just come out firing as well. An outstanding young stallion who was so popular over here that he was actually moved from Coolmore's Irish headquarters to its Ashford stud in Kentucky. So I think we're just beginning to hear from the Caravaggios here in the U.S.
Number 7 is Rocket City, a daughter of Spendthrift stallion Into Mischief. This filly was bred by Spendthrift. Steve Asmussen trains. Tyler Gaffalione takes them out. A $350,000 yearling. Into Mischief just sensational with 2-year-old first-time starters winning at 17%. The dam was versatile. Stakes placed on both turf and dirt, routing and sprinting. A little bit of distance on the bottom of the pedigree, but these Into Mischiefs are quick, and we know Steve can pop with a first-time starter.
Absolutely. And I mean, Rocket City, that sure said that's kind of an appropriate name for Into Mischief. They're quick, they win early, they are versatile. We've seen that right out of the gate with his very first crop and on through his career to become one of North America's perennial leading sires.
The number 8 is Don't Look Back at All. This one is trained by Christophe Clement. Flavien Prat takes them out. A Pennsylvania bred by Peace and Justice, who hasn't had a lot of success with juvenile debut runners or first turf runners, but the folks at West Point and Partners, they ponied up $150,000 for this filly in March after she whistled a quarter mile in 20-3, and she's a half to NYC, graded stakes placed on the turf.
Yeah, and Peace and Justice, a son of Warfront who stands in Pennsylvania. It's a good 2-year-old sire line. It's a good turf sire line. He was among the leading freshman sires in the Mid-Atlantic region last year with his first crop. The fact that this filly sold so far up from his stud fee really tells me that she was an outstanding physical, and certainly you've got that good work to back that up.
Lemon Bomb is the number 9. This filly has gone through the auction ring on 4 occasions, most recently being bought back for $105,000 in May after breezing in 10-2. She's by Army Mule, a first crop stallion that has gotten off to a good start. The dam was stakes place routing on turf at 2. Low profile connections get Luis Saez for the mount.
Yeah, and I think there's a little more turf in this pedigree on the sire side than you would see at first glance. Army Mule, of course, known for winning the Carter on dirt, but his sire, Frisian Fire, does okay with his turf runners in his home base in Maryland. And Frisian Fire's out of the Australian mare Bollinger, a Group 1 winner herself out of the great Bint Marseille. You put that over a Lemon Drop Kid mare who ran well on turf, and I think there's a little more turf in this pedigree than you see at first glance.
The final horse in the body of the race is the 10 Playlist, and at first glance, she ticks all the boxes. She's a daughter of Uncle Mo. Johnny Velasquez takes them out. This one is trained by Wesley Ward, who is dominant with first-time starters and does exceptionally well with them on turf in sprint races. This pedigree, though, really tilted towards longer distance racing on the bottom, at least. She's a half to year to blame, a graded stakes winner going really long. This is the family of Gio Ponte, champion turf horse who like to go long, a $400,000 yearling.
Yeah, and I really love this pedigree. Uncle Mo, as we've talked about, does very well with his turf runners. They're just athletes. They move well on anything. The dam, as you said, a half to Gio Ponte, just one of the best turf runners of the modern day. I do think this one is going to want to go longer, but I'm certainly not going to ignore her on Thursday here. I think from this outside draw, she could come running and pick up a nice little piece of it and improve with more distance next time out.
Contenders on the also eligible list include the 11 Reflexivity for Chad Brown, Georgie Spirit, who moves from dirt to turf, as does Tell Me When, Illicit, and Into Mischief Philly, who showed speed first time out. I'd be interested in that one if she somehow gets into the body of the race. Talk about how tough this race is. Take a look at these top selections. I believe 8 different, which means the one Elysian Field can't lose for Bruce Brown. I mean, that's that tough of a race. You're going with Lexi's Spirit, and I understand why. I love this pedigree. I love the Cantharos is sprinting on the turf, and there's a lot of turf on the bottom as well in class.
Yeah, and as I said, I really loved the combination in this pedigree that you have Cantharos there to inject some speed into this family that's just turf class throughout. Some good 2-year-olds have come out of that family. Lexi Spirit looks like she has some speed on that work tab. I'll again direct you to the clocker reports on DRF.com. And I like that Javier Castellano takes the mount. And when the race is this wide open, I'm looking for some value. Again, I will suggest that you watch the board on Thursday.
And this will be a spread race for me to kick off the 50-cent pick 4. I'll probably use all 4 of my top picks. I'm looking for a price. As you mentioned early, look for value in a race like this. Hat Check Girl is by Sharpest Tech, who's gotten off to a pretty quick start. There's a long series of workouts for this debut. She goes out for Al Gold's Gold Square and Chad Summers. 3-9-8-2 for me, 4-6-10-7 for Nicole. What a race. It's our Thursday Spa Baby event, and it's presented by Spendthrift.